Hi, welcome back to Behind the Lines. I'm Lynn Saturnow. This is Bob Greenberg. We're back after a few weeks off. We hoped to play some golf, but the weather was terrible, so we decided to come back anyhow. Bob, how about the draft? This past weekend was great, wasn't it, to watch?
It's really an amazing event in the world of sports. And I talked about last week on one of my sports minutes that it is the most exciting, most watched sporting event. There's actually no live sports that takes place. And only the NFL can pull this thing off the way they did. And Nashville, if they're not a permanent host, they should definitely be a host for many years to come, because that atmosphere there outside in their streets was something that really made it amazing.
Yeah, that was a great performance. Even though the Browns didn't have a first-round pick, it was still fun to watch. And they do a great job television. You know, all the research they do on these guys and bring up the film and the tapes on everything they've done. Terrific.
And for the Steelers' perspective, for the Steelers to trade up to the number 10 pick and get the guy they wanted, it really added a lot of drama for at least the Pittsburgh fans. And I know in the world we are today, it seems like I'm watching Steeler picks, Browns picks, Ravens picks, Bengals picks. Who are the teams in the division that we're watching a lot of? How are they doing? And I think it kind of makes it even more exciting.
Well, you're a big-time Steeler fan. What'd you think of their draft?
I thought it was as good as you could hope. I'm never a guy that likes to put a grade on drafts. I'm sure you're kind of in the same boat. The grade will eventually be put out there in a year or two or three. But the Steelers had a desperate need at replacing Ryan Shazier, and Devin Bush was the guy they looked at. And for them to do what they did in the trade, to move up to number 10 pick, to get this guy in-house, I think that solidified everything else. And in my mind, every pick after that was kind of secondary. That was the guy that they needed most, and they got a running back, they got a wide receiver, they got a cornerback. Who knows how good these guys will be, but I think Bush is the guy that can be a game changer, and I'll be shocked if he's not starting in week one.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And, of course, he's from Michigan. Somebody should ask him about the Ohio State game,
Yeah.
I think he'll do better with the Steelers, however. He could have used a little more help.
He's a fast guy. He has a football background. His father was an NFL player, and the Steelers needed somebody that could be the leader out there. He called all the plays at Michigan, goes sideline to sideline. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's 5'11", 230, and just a guy that loves the game of football. And I think he will fit in very well in the city of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think he does remind people of Ryan Shazier, and I think that's one of the keys that they took him.
And when Shazier got hurt, the Steelers were doing very well, people forget. And that was really the decline of at least the last year and a half for Pittsburgh team. They never were able to replace that guy in the middle of the defense. And having a guy like Bush there, and the Steelers, I think, very rare. First time since Troy Polamalu trade back in the early 2000s that they tried to trade up. They normally don't try to make big trades on opening day, but they wanted this guy. And I give the organization credit. Kevin Colbert made the move, and we'll see how it pays off. But I think it was a great move by the Steelers.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that was a great move. And I love the Browns draft. Some people, you talk about grading the draft. I watched the television the other day. They had two guys on there talking about the AFC North draft. And they gave the Browns a C for their picks. Today I read a story. Guy rated the draft, gave him an A. So, like you said, you can't tell for 2 or 3 years really what the grade of the draft's going to be.
I always look at, Lynn, is you can really grade after year one, because if you have one or two players that have impacted your team in the first year, rookies, that is unusual. So, if you get a couple guys that can make big plays and start and do whatever, then that's a huge grade for a draft. But, I'm not a guy that wants to grade these guys. Who knows how they're going to do?
But anymore, with the way the situation is with the finances in these teams, when they draft a guy in the first round or even second round, a lot of times they expect them to start.
I agree. I think you look at it, there's certain positions that really rookies can do much better in. When you draft a quarterback in a rookie season, even Baker Mayfield as an example, it took him a while to kind of get going. But other guys, a linebacker or even a secondary guy. Secondary, he might have more struggles. That's going to be a tough position to learn. But there's certain positions that you can start day one and do well, but others, like quarterback, it's a much higher learning curve.
Yeah, you talk about secondary. I love the pick of Greedy Williams from LSU by the Browns. He's a great cornerback, great coverage guy, 6'2", which is pretty good size for a defensive back, and he's got great speed. They were criticizing him because he's not a great tackler. Deion Sanders wasn't too good a tackler either, but I think I would take a player like him anytime, you know.
Yeah, Steelers got Lane from Michigan State, who's kind of in the same mold as Greedy, guy from Cleveland. I love the story about Lane was a lifelong Browns fan.
Right.
Had Brown socks on, got drafted by the Steelers, and had to take his socks off. So.
And his parents threw away all his Cleveland stuff.
Cleveland Brown stuff. So, hey, life happens, and now he's a Steeler fan, obviously, because that's where he's going to be playing.
Yeah, and like the Browns, they already have Denzel Ward back there at cornerback. Now they got Greedy Williams covering on the other side. They're going to be pretty solid, I think.
Deontay Johnson, the Steeler wide receiver they got, was a clear message that they're moving on from the Antonio Brown saga. Johnson, it's amazing if you start looking at his resume versus Antonio Brown's. Both played in the MAC, both had the same size, same speed, same really intangibles. But hopefully Deontay Johnson isn't a prima donna like Antonio Brown. But I think the Steelers are very happy moving on. And they got a running back in Benny Snell out of Kentucky, who Steeler fans or Pittsburgh fans, I'm sure, watched when he played Penn State in a bowl game. Big time running back, and I think he will fit in very well. So, Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown, they were great talents, but those days are over now in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that Snell is a good running back. I mean, people don't know that much about him because Kentucky isn't on the national games
Correct.
too often. But, like you said, against Penn State, he's pretty solid.
Big running back. So, the Steelers, they drafted to fill some needs, and now they have 3 running backs I think are solid there. They added another wide receiver. They got one in the offseason as well. Maybe not as good as Antonio Brown, no question about that, but they're filling those slots, and I think that's the best they can do at this point.
The Browns picked up a pretty good wide receiver in the offseason, too. Can't remember his name. Something like that.
Oh, yeah. What was his name?
Yeah.
His initials.
OBJ, I think.
He has initials, yeah.
How about the Browns? They signed they drafted a kicker in the 5th round.
Wow.
You don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's something that I find it hard to believe because kickers are, there's so many of them out there. Unless he's very, very special. I just saw the story about the last kicker that was drafted in the 1st round was Sebastian Janikowski.
Yeah.
And he just retired this past
Seabass.
week. 19 years, but a rare kicker that was very, very good. I would imagine maybe in that case you'd be worth a draft pick, but not many teams do that anymore.
Well, they used it on the 5th round. Austin Siebert's kid's name from Oklahoma. He's a leading scorer, all-time leading scorer in Big 12 history. So he's supposed to be pretty solid.
Pretty solid. I look at it from the Pittsburgh perspective. Whenever they bring kickers in, I like their resume to be in colleges that played in bad weather. And the Steelers have done a pretty good job at doing that because half your games are going to be in Cleveland or Cincinnati or Pittsburgh.
Right.
So, and when the guys that they bring in have been that type of a background, seem to do very well.
Well, the Browns must have figured they needed a kicker if you're drafting one.
That is true.
They had that Joseph kid that he was up and down. You need a reliable kicker in a game today to win.
There's no question about that. It's there's the special teams sometimes go overlooked, and sometimes they will cost you games.
We were talking about the weather before. It's hurt high school sports. The start of spring sports. Every year, it's kind of the same thing. But, they're getting into it now. Baseball, Middlesex looks pretty solid in Region 1 in baseball. Now, Hickory, they're good. But they got no hit by Franklin the other day, even though you saw the game, right?
It's one of the more amazing games I've ever seen because Hickory went into that game averaging 12 runs a game. One of the better or maybe the best hitting team maybe from top to bottom in Mercer County. And Ian Haynes, who's a all-state quarterback, looks like he's going to college somewhere to do something sports-wise. He's a big-time athlete and just had one of those really spectacular performances, kept Hickory off balance the entire day. And I know Hickory kind of licking their chops to get a shot at him again. They play him in another region game coming up here, I think, next week, and then there's a chance they may play him again in the District 10 playoffs. But one of the best performances I've seen by a pitcher all year.
And I'm sure Franklin will hold that kid to pitch against Hickory again.
There's no question.
Because he knows.
And that's the one great thing about baseball is that, especially come playoff time, that one great pitcher isn't enough. So, if they have the one great pitcher, he may get you by a game or two, but you got to have depth there to be a championship team.
You know, we have a lot of good baseball teams. Wilmington and Lakeview look pretty good. They're going to be battling it out in the one region, Region 3. Last Monday night, Grove City and Slippery Rock, they were both undefeated in the league going in, and Slippery Rock beat them. So they took a one-game lead over Grove City. But they play again next week or whatever, you know. So those second matchups are pretty key.
Always important. And, you know, when you get down to this point, you know, you mentioned Middlesex and Lakeview and Wilmington, Hickory all having good years, no question. You know, at this point, they're playing for seeding because, you know, the higher the seed gets to play closer to home, and you avoid some of those tougher teams from the north early in the playoffs. Some of the brackets, the top two make it into the state tournament. Some only the champion makes it in. So seeding will be very key for some of these teams that want to go into the state tournament.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of Grove City, too, how about our friend Pat Freese? Longtime Grove City coach, has a field named after him. Quite an honor. Well-deserved. Great guy.
No question. One of the all-time great high school baseball coaches that Mercer County has ever had. And, maybe wasn't overdue because he hasn't been gone that long, but I was glad to be up there Friday. Hickory played there Friday, so I got to see the sign. And it's a beautiful park up there to host baseball games. One of the better places to go watch a game, just a great atmosphere. And Pat Freese Field, the sign will be there forever.
Was Pat at the game?
I did not see him on Friday.
Take that sign down.
It's going to be there every game now. That's true.
True Hall of Famer.
No question about it.
In everything. You
No
know,
question
he's a
about
great guy. Softball, we also have some terrific teams. Now, Sharpsville is the one right now that everybody has their eyes on. They're undefeated. I think they're 11-0.
11-0, I think, as of yesterday. Courtney Fry, who's had an incredible year. Sharpsville just got named Reinhardt's Mercer County Team of the Month for April. Undefeated. Courtney Fry's having one of those years, Lynn. She hasn't lost as a pitcher. I think she's 9 or 10-0 as a pitcher, and she was batting .808. So she's having a remarkable senior year. One of the captains. So in Region 1, Sharpsville's doing very well. Commodore Perry's also a team that they're 9-2 overall. Look out for them. Reynolds, they were 7-0. They lost the last couple games, but they're a team that you have to watch out as well.
Yeah, of course, pitching in softball is really the factor that really comes in. But when a girl's hitting .808,
right,
reminds me of you and I batting in our days.
Back in our days. You know,
Together, we might have batted .808.
If we were lucky as a team combined.
Yeah.
The Grove City girls are 10-3. They're off to a good start as well. And softball, unlike baseball, where, as you mentioned, baseball you got to have a couple pitchers. In most cases, softball, one pitcher can do it all. And because the way the throwing motion is, there's not a lot of pressure on the shoulder. So on the girls' side, one pitcher can take you a long way.
I pitched 5 games in a row one time in the losers bracket of a tournament, which meant I had to drink with my left hand after the games. I couldn't lift my right arm. That was hard.
Well, when you're 17 or 18, you rehabilitate a little bit better than when you were whatever age that was.
Maybe 50 at that time. Hey, how about the track? City of Hermitage. What a great track event every year. 900 and some athletes, 30 teams. Some of the best athletes in the state were out there.
Yeah, it's I think 20 years now they've held that invitational, and I was reminded, and I'll give a plug to my dad and Sherry Greenberg, my stepmom. A long time ago, decades ago, they donated the electronic timing device to Hermitage as a donation, and that timing device is the difference between getting the big meets and not getting the big meets, because you don't have the electronic devices in this day and age. You really can't hold the big meets. So kudos to my father. It's a great gesture. I know the school honored them Saturday before the meet, and it was a really nice thing that they did for them.
Yeah, I saw that plaque.
It was very nice.
They're two terrific people, both of them.
They love the sports. They love track. They love Hermitage, and Barb Dorisco. That's I think her last big meet, hosting. What a treasure she has been to the school district as athletic director. And I don't think she's going to be going away, as in won't be around.
Yeah.
But no longer as AD. It's going to be a tough day for Hermitage, losing her for sure.
Well, I hope she still runs the district meets, because she does such a terrific job. She and her staff. I mean, not just her, but she has everything coordinated so well whenever they run those district meets, no matter where they're held.
That's true, and I think she still will be a part of it. She's going to help out on the District 10 side, and that's a great win for District 10 to get her involved, helping run those meets for sure.
I wish they were back at Hickory. Makes it a little easier.
That is true. Slippery Rock did a nice job last year.
Yeah.
I agree, and I think it's way better than Spire is a fantastic location, but a District 10 meet being held closer to home is much better for our athletes.
Sure. Great spring sport athletes we have here. And speaking of great athletes, even though the winter seasons are over, they're not picking the all-state basketball teams. So congratulations to West Middlesex's McKenna White and Malia Magestro from Kennedy. They're both first-team all-state and well-deserved.
And unbelievable seasons for their teams and also those two individual athletes. And as I tweeted last week, if they stay healthy, they're going to end up being in the top 5 all-time in Mercer County scoring. I don't know where they'll end up. I doubt there'll be one. Sheena Aiden's up there at 2,400. That's not going to be passed. But they're going to be 2 or 3 or 3 and 4. So this is a special time. You don't see two girls like this playing at the same time in the same class. And it will be fun next year. Those 2 games next year when Middlesex plays Kennedy on the girls' side, those will be ones that will be worth them to go watch for sure. They'll be fun to watch.
They might even be on the radio, huh?
They might be on the radio for sure.
We might even cover it.
We might even cover it as well.
Yeah.
Talking about athletes, we should mention, I have a quick interview that we'll play. Emma Wilson, who is a 2-time state champion swimmer out of Grove City. You know, it's a sport that doesn't get a lot of notoriety, but she's going on to the University of Pittsburgh and will be one of the most decorated athletes in the history of our county. I think she told me she's won 13 state medals. Wow. Think about that. Wrestlers, track. I don't know if anybody's won 13 state medals. I had a chance to talk to Emma Wilson, and here's my interview. Is Emma Wilson. She is our Reinhardt's Mercer County March Athlete of the Month. And Emma, this is old hat for you. Congratulations. I know it's been a great senior year for you.
Thank you. It's been a long one, but done now. So.
What's been the most memorable part of your senior year swimming? Obviously winning another state championship, or am I missing something else?
I mean, obviously the state championship, but I really enjoyed having like my best friend Luke back on the team and just finishing out the entire 4 years and the rest of my swimming career over 12 years. Just finishing it with the people that I started with.
I remember a year ago we talked in this same room, and after you had won your first state championship, and I had mentioned that the additional pressure that you will face now. Did you feel that pressure being a defending state champ?
A little bit, but not really. I knew there were girls that are younger than me that were seated in front of me going into states, and I figured that was for the best because it would only push me further. And so it ended up being my best time, so I think the pressure kind of like worked out.
It helped.
Yeah.
Now I saw, if I'm correct, you won 13 state medals in your career. Is that accurate?
I think when I saw that, I think it might have been 14, but it might have been 13. I'm not sure.
Either way. Now, do you think of the ones that are gold, or do you think of the ones that are not gold more?
I think about the ones that probably come with the most memories. Like my freshman year, it was the first time girls have medaled from our school and our relay. So with like Kimmy, like so many years ago, it's just more special than like other ones in the past, I guess.
Now, how excited are you that you will be a future Pitt Panther?
I'm so excited. H2P.
Yeah, you'll see that a lot in social media.
Yeah.
What was the difference? What made you commit to Pitt?
I really, really loved the coaches there, and they all seemed pretty stable. A lot of coaches from teams, they switch back and forth like multiple different like schools, and I just really wanted to be comfortable and have like the safety, I guess, of like having the same people all 4 years. So.
Now, have you thought about the final days here of your high school career? Is that exciting, emotional, sad? What's the emotions about that?
It's exciting. Yeah, I'm not ready to move to college, I guess. So.
Not yet.
I am.
Oh,
yeah,
you are.
I am.
Oh, okay. Well, you'll have fun down at Pitt, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Lastly, most people that go on vacation go to the beach swimming. What does Emma Wilson like to do on vacation? Do you get into a pool when you go on vacation, or do you kind of stay away from swimming?
Yeah, it's weird because after I finished up nationals last week, we went to celebrate my grandma's birthday at a hotel, and my baby cousins like asked me to get in the water with them, and it was really weird just floating and not trying to do anything. So but we prefer to sit out and tan and not go in the water at all. So
Not a bad way to hang out in the summertime. Emma, congratulations.
thank you.
Best of luck at Pitt.
Thank you.
Oh, nice job, Bob.
She's a great athlete, and
She's a great kid. You know,
it
the
just-
leader over there. It's tremendous.
And you know, I love the fact that the one question I asked her: when you go on vacation, do you go swimming? Because most people go on vacation to swim, and she says she does go in, but it's nice just to jump in and relax and not have to worry about exercising.
Yeah, she probably swims a mile back and forth up and down.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I'm glad she's going to Pitt. Of course, my kids go to Pitt, or we'll be going to Pitt, both of them. So
My granddaughter's going
go
to
to
Pitt.
Pitt. So we're happy that Pitt will be getting Emma Wilson.
Sure. And my granddaughter
And
and,
your
your
granddaughter,
kids.
yes.
Yeah, that's great. Hey, Pirates, Indians. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think the Pirates right now, the Pirates are different than the Indians. The Pirates, a fine line between winning and losing. Their pitching had been great the first couple weeks, and they were off to a 12-6 start. But their hitting now has hit the rock bottom, and they had lost 8 games in a row until last night. I don't know. I'm not very confident right now about the Pirates. I think they can be at least competitive enough to be around 500, but I just don't think right now they have enough to contend for a playoff spot. It's just the nature of the beast in Pittsburgh. They don't spend enough money to get the big ticket players to come in, and they compete. I like this team. I like their pitchers, but overall, just not enough talent. Injuries have hurt them as well. You know, they've lost some. You know, Chisenhall hasn't played. Dickerson hasn't played. I mean, they have lost some pretty good players, but still just not enough. Cleveland now is a different story. I think they have enough to contend again, which they are.
Because of pitching.
Because of pitching.
They have some of the best pitching in the league. There's no doubt about it. And they're going to have to shore up the hitting, though. They got rid of some big boppers, you know, that were really hitting the home runs and carrying them. Right now, they don't have anybody. Well, they have a couple players. That, you know, Lindor's just getting back healthy,
Right.
so he's not going to be bad. And, of course, Ramirez, he's been in a slump since last August or whatever, but they'll get him squared away. He's just a good athlete and good player.
I mean, the Pirates, I think the Pirates are a team that, you know, like anytime we see baseball, they are a team that can win in bunches. If their starting pitching gets a little bit better, goes a little deeper into games, don't put as much pressure on their bullpen. You know, the sad thing about the Pirates, they were 12-6, and I think they blew 4 games out of those 6 games they lost. They had leads into the 7th inning and lost those 4 games. I mean, they could have been 16-2 at one point and really would have given them a little bit of a cushion for this Kurt Long losing streak. But time will tell. I'm just not very confident about the Pirates right now.
And everybody goes in streaks
Correct.
in the major leagues. You know, you don't see 22 wins in a row like the Indians had a couple of years ago. You know,
That is true.
That's a little rare there, but it's going to be a fun baseball season no matter what. We root for them both, you know, so.
Just hope they can stay competitive. The Pirates will be fun to watch throughout the summer if they can be in the hunt. That's all you really ask for as a Pirates fan. And right now, it's they're right on that fence.
Yeah. And right now, the NBA and the NHL playoffs are going on. No Cavs, no Penguins. Does anybody care?
Not really. It just seemed like yesterday when they both won championships.
Yeah.
That 016, it was an incredible time in this area. Now it's like I'm not sure how many people were even watching them.
Hope LeBron had a good time out there in Los Angeles. Oh, he's not in the playoffs for the first time in a lot of years. What a shock.
And the NBA ratings are showing it. They've dropped dramatically now since LeBron is not playing in Cleveland. East Coast fans. So NBA's got a little bit of a problem here with the ratings, but I'm sure they'll figure that out.
Yeah, I think down the road they'll handle it. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Anything you want to add, Bob?
Hey, have a good. Hope it gets warm out.
Yeah, let's hit the links.
Hit the links. Baseball, spring sports. Best of luck.
Yeah, get out there and follow the high school kids. It's a lot of fun. They're great kids. See you then.